Why are we here? How can we be happy? These are questions I've been curious about since a very young age. I'm your host, Anna Goldstein, and this is the Profit with Purpose show. I believe we have the answers within us, but somewhere along the way, we stop trusting ourselves. I'm interviewing top entrepreneurs, healers, and change makers about mindfulness strategies and practical tools to help you carve your path. Join me as you reconnect with your heart and live courageously so that we make the world a better place. Welcome back, Purpose Seekers. This is episode number 166. And today I want to talk about emotional fitness. We have a range of emotions that we experience. I want to say almost on a daily basis, and sometimes we go through extreme periods, but we are emotional beings. We cannot avoid emotions, and that's not the point. But we can better understand our emotions. So some of our emotions are the end product of past experiences that now we've repeated so much that they've become part of the way that we operate in the world. And then there's also the present experiences of emotions. And if we just notice that we go through a range of emotions every day, like if you reflect on your day yesterday, from morning, afternoon, evening, maybe at times you felt sad, maybe at times you felt happy, maybe at times you felt excited, maybe at times you felt discouraged. We go through a range of emotions, and it's really helpful to understand how we create emotions and how we can actually learn to take charge of our emotions and train ourselves to get into better performance states. So what does that mean? That a lot of the decisions we make in our life come from the state we're in. And when I say state, I'm talking about an emotional state. So if you're in a sad state, for example, you might make a particular decision based on your feelings around sadness. And so it's going to affect the decisions that you make. Or if you're in a really good mood, you might make an entirely different decision. And it's really important to understand that the decisions that you make come from the state that you're in, and that we actually can be intentional about creating a specific state to get us into a better quality state so that we can make better quality decisions and have a better quality of life. So, what creates a state? There's three main things that create a state. One is your physiology. So, if you notice when you're listening to this, bring your attention to your body. How are you holding yourself? Because certain states, like if we're more sad or depressive or let's say not confident, insecure, we have a tendency to hold our body in that way. So what does that mean? Our shoulders tend to dip towards the ground. Our chest maybe caves in a little bit. Our chin points down. We have a way of holding our physiology. But if you notice, or if you've meditated, or if you've done like a fitness class, when you change your physiology, it changes, it has an effect on your state. So for example, like if you're doing a meditation and you do a body scan and they're like, relax your body, all of a sudden you start to feel more calm. Or if you go for a run, all of a sudden you feel more elated. That's because there was a shift in your physiology. So that's one way to change your state, is to first become aware. Like if you're in a negative state, first become aware of your physiology, of how you're holding your body. And then literally you can move your shoulders down and back, open up your chest, lift your head up. I have a trampoline. Sometimes I jump on a trampoline to change my state, and I literally move my body into a better position and hold myself. So if you want to feel more confident, could be in the way that you're driving, could be the way that you're walking down the street, walking into a meeting, walking into going out with your friends or going on a date, is to walk with that type of physiology, to be that type of physiology in your body. The other piece is focus. What you focus on, you feel. So if you focus on all the things that are going wrong in your life, you're going to feel pretty bad. Or if you focus on all the things that are going well in your life, you're going to feel pretty good. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with a client, and she was talking about a situation in her relationship with her significant other. and she was focusing on, all the things that she liked about this person. And then we shifted focus to all the things that she doesn't like about that person. And it really shifted the way that she started to feel, because what you focus on, you feel. So if you're focused on the problem, you're going to feel like more problems, and you're going to see more problems, and you're going to feel bad for yourself, or, have some self-loathing. But if you're focused on the solution, you might feel more energized. You might feel more enthusiastic. Your brain actually might start searching for solutions for that problem. And so there's often two sides of this, because there is usually, the yin and yang, so to speak, which is the light and the dark of a situation. What's right is available, and so is what's wrong, so to speak. So we have that ability to first recognize where are we putting our focus. So the way that you can do this is, if you notice that you're in a negative state and you're feeling down and out, what are you focused on? It's a simple question, can give you great results. Where is your focus? What are you focused on? What questions are you asking yourself? Questions drive focus. If you focus on, what's wrong, and you ask yourself that question, or you focus on what's going well. I start every coaching conversation with what's going well, to get you in a better thinking state. So that's also why gratitude really is helpful, because it helps you with your focus on the good. The other piece is the language that we use. So it's basically the words that we use to describe situations, ourselves, our experiences, and that's what gives rise to the meanings that we create. So for example, it could be something like, I always mess this up, or I can't believe this happened to me again. The language that you use shapes your reality. And I think about this a lot of the time in respects to kids. And I'm going to use an example about my son, Evan, in a moment. But first, I just want to talk about how the words you use shape your experience, and the meanings that we create from it. So if somebody says, you did all of these things wrong, we might create the meaning that there's something wrong with me. Or if somebody shoots down your idea, you might think that you're not smart enough or you're not good enough. That's the meaning that you create. And it's that language that we use that shape our lives and shape our experience. Because if you look at situations inherently have no meaning except the meaning that we give it. I'm going to say that again. Situations have no meaning except the meaning that we assign to it. So, we've all had the experience where something didn't go well. Maybe at the time we came to a conclusion that it was bad. And we've grown a lot as a result of it. And now we look at that situation and the meaning is entirely different. We might be grateful for that event or that experience now because we grew from it. So nothing inherently has meaning except the meaning that we assign to it. So we want to investigate what's the meaning that we're giving this situation, and what's the language that we're using to describe the meaning of the situation, good or bad, right or wrong. There's a lot of judgment in that, versus also being like, you know what, I can learn from this. I can grow from this. Very different meaning, very different words. And it really affects and influences, if you think about growing up as a child, the things that people say to you really shape our lives in a big way. So it's really important to learn and pay attention to the language and the meanings that we're giving to shape our life. And I just want to tell a quick story about how I use this in my own life. So I learned this at a Tony Robbins event, and this is Tony Robbins material that I'm teaching you now about state, the power of state. And I unconsciously was doing this as an athlete, right? Like athletes prepare, they have certain rituals. For example, I used to listen to music and jump rope before I was going to compete in a match at tournaments. And so I would use things to trigger peak performance state so that I could get into the right performance flow. And so understanding and first recognizing and identifying what state you're currently in and how to shift it is a key to not only success, but happiness. And this isn't bypassing or skipping over how we feel. We first want to acknowledge and recognize what is actually happening. What's the state that we're currently in? We might even want to investigate, why do we feel the way that we do? But then ultimately it's, can we shift our state? That is emotional fitness. And what do you need to do to shift your state? So sometimes you can use songs to trigger states. So certain songs put me in a really good mood. And so I have certain songs that I listen to. One of them is Van Halen, Right Now is one of my favorite songs. And whenever I listen to that song, it just lifts me up. So you can have a song to trigger a state change. And then from that place, we can operate in a more peak performance way. So I want to just give an example of this in my own life, where the other day, Evan was having a meltdown. He was having a total tantrum. He was upset about not getting something that he wanted, and he was crying, and he was wanting to hit my husband and I. And, he was in that state of just so frustrated, so angry, so upset. He was throwing himself on the floor, and I realized that he was in a state, and no matter what I did, he was not going to hear anything I said. And so my first motive was to shift his state. First, I started to breathe and talk about my breathing as my belly was expanding. And I would say to him, hey, can you see if you can make your belly really big? And at first he was just kind of like, still upset. But then I went up close to him and I put my belly on his as he was having his little meltdown. And I said, can you feel my belly expand and contract? I want to feel your belly expand and contract with your breath. So I started to slowly try to change some of his physiology. And then it was a little bit like it didn't just happen right away, but he started to calm down a little bit. And then he started to go back into the tears. And then I tried to redirect his focus. And I did that by asking him a question about his birthday party. I said, who do you want to invite to your birthday party? And then his brain started going towards birthday party. And then he was like, and I was asking him about different friends that he has, if we should invite them. And then he was thinking, yeah, we should invite them. And then he really started to calm down a lot. And so I could notice that his state was changing. I noticed his physiology had changed. Then his focus had changed. And then lastly, the words that I was using, and I started to tell him I love him, and that it's okay, and he's okay, and using language to also just calm his state. And then once he was in that state, I was able to get him to move from one activity to the next. But the key here was being able to shift our state. We're no different from children in this way. We're just more contained in the way that we go about it. So I want to invite you to first become more aware of states that you're in through recognizing them rather than being in the trance of them. And then through these 3 ways of shifting your physiology, your focus, your language, and meaning, to be able to use any one of these tools at any moment to be able to shift your state to get you into a better state so that you make better decisions, so that you have better results. For more information about my coaching, you can reach out to me at annagoldstein.com/coach. And I hope you have an awesome day. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends and family and write a review. It keeps this podcast going. Questions? Email me at info@annagoldstein.com. Remember to carve your path and be kind to someone today.